Thank you, Ari. Generally, it's said that the speaker of the session is not supposed to speak much. But I generally enjoy myself sharing my thoughts and ideas about, especially of a deliberation like this. So you will have to give me 5 minutes before you can. See, we have been discussing about responsible leadership. We have been discussing about CSR. We have been discussing about sustainability. These issues, I got introduced to these issues about 7 years back, and I have been closely following it on different platforms, different forums. In the case of, we have today government mandate for CSR, sustainable development. There is funds allocated for it, which has to be there. Responsible leadership, fine. Responsible leadership is there for implementation of these laws, regulation, funds, utilization of these funds. What we are lacking in today is something called intelligent leadership. I have done some study of some of these CSR modules which have been followed by different PSUs. Now in this country, 31st March is a very deadly date because all the funds which are issued must be utilized by 31st March. So you go to any of these PSUs and government, they are in a rush. You could give me a proposal and take away the money, go and spend it. And sometimes this money ends up going down as waste. Although the auditor would say that money has been well spent, but at the end of the day, money would not be spent well. I'll share with you a very interesting example. And especially there are certain, chosen fashionable topics. Excuse me for saying this. Like one of the topic is empowerment of women. Empowerment of women, if kuch leo, we'll give you money. So there is a village in Uttarakhand where something was done for empowerment of women. This village was at the hilltop, and the woman went to the stream downhill to stock water. And group of women, say around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, would get together and carry their pitchers, go to the stream, fill water, come back, spend about 2-3 hours climbing down, climbing up with that load of water and everything. So the NGOs from metropolitan cities went there, saw, empowerment of women, they have to be saved from this duress. So let's do something about it. So a plan was made, technology, science, lift irrigation. So water was lifted from the stream to the water tanks which were built in this village. A lot of money was given by all the PSUs, everything fitted in the module. Women empowerment, water, lift irrigation, everything was in place. And the project was completed on time, fund went well utilized. The leader, the local MLA came, cut the ribbons, inaugurated, newspapers carried the reports. Women have been emancipated in that particular village. On the 4th day of this inauguration, the women again got together in the group and went down the hill to the stream to collect water, despite the tank being full. Why was this happening? Why did they go to the stream again to get water and not collect water from the water tank which was built in the village? Because in their daily routine, in their daily life, this was only the time frame of their outing. That was the only time that they got to come out of their houses from their, smoke-filled kitchens and their dark rooms. They could come out, they could get together, walk down, share their problems, find solutions and everything, walk down, go to the stream, spend some time, get some benefit of the nature, and then again walk back. So they were ready to pay the price of this physical strain for the emotional support they got from their peer group, which the responsible leadership did not have the intelligence to understand. And they ended up building a water tank in the village. So you see, while we are very eager to implement the CSR goals and meet the CSR goals, and Like, yes, we are all very eager to meet the CSR goals. We are all very, there surplus, there are enough funds lying in everything, and the satisfaction of having executed these programs should not lie in the bold headlines in the newspaper. It should be in the what is the qualitative change which you have brought out in the community where you have worked. That is what is the thing, and I'll take you to me. I had the opportunity to present a paper at a conference in Dublin on responsible leadership again, where I shared about an NGO, how they were worked among the tribal areas where nobody had been able to survive, and they intelligently did women empowerment there, very intelligently did women empowerment there, and then ended up making friends with all of them, and drove all the drunken men out of the village. So that is what is the qualitative change they brought in. Because their problem was not getting firewood from the forest, their problem was not getting water from the stream, but their problem was their drunk husbands at home. That was their problem. So, so while addressing these issues, when we go around with this executing CSR models, this is what has to be borne in mind, that what is the issue which is bothering them. And it may not always necessarily be something material. It has to be something, I'm glad she spoke on the psychology of it. It is the emotional quotient which has to be addressed in such situations. Thank you so much for having invited me to address this question. I hope you had a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. We are indeed very grateful to have you all on the dais. It was a pleasure listening to you all. And thank you, sir, and ma'am also, for sharing your insightful knowledge with us. Now it's a time for tea break. We will resume here after 15 minutes for our next session.
No, but just can you have a quick... Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Warm good afternoon to all. On behalf of SLC, I welcome you all to the concurrent session of the International Conference. This session is based on sustaining tradition towards modernity. To chair this session, we have Professor Shravan Kumar Singh, a retired professor and director of School of Social Sciences. He has participated in teleconferencing, audio-video programs and phone-in programs of Akashvani and IGNU. He has a number of publications in the form of books, contribution to various edited books and articles and papers, publication in various journals and lessons of various distance learning institutions. We welcome you, sir. We also have Dr. Alka Sharma as co-chair for this current session. She is the former principal of Shamlal College and convener of IQAC. We extend you a warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, I humbly request Alka ma'am to welcome the chairperson, Professor Shravan Kumar Singh, with a token of gratitude and memento.
Welcome, sir.
Now, to begin with the session, I request Professor Shravan Kumar Singh to address the gathering.
Good afternoon to all. Well, my topic today is about social entrepreneurship and the quest to establish or sort of reinvestigate and revisit the theoretical underpinnings of shared entrepreneurship and tries to reinvestigate and also revisit the theoretical underpinnings of entrepreneurship and tries to link it with the concept of shared value creation. It basically dwells into what really unfolds when we try to amalgamate or try to bring together these two different concepts and what actually happens in the sphere of business entrepreneurship when we try to bring about the social concerns into the business field. It also talks about when we add the prefix social before the entrepreneurship, does it actually transform the characteristics of entrepreneurship completely? Or is social entrepreneurship then can be considered a groundbreaking playing field in the business to facilitate new theories and the concepts? Or is it just an affiliation or an advocacy? When I say the word affiliation, it means, is it just an appeal to the business community to think about the social welfare at the same time? Or does it really explore the possibility into the sociality of entrepreneurship? Furthermore, it poses a question that can we break the binary? That means, do we just have the binary choices between the public and the private sector? Can we think of collaboration beyond that? Can we think of, for example, collaboration between the public, private, and the civil society? So what we would term it as a middle way. Anthony Giddens has profoundly talked of the concept of the middle way, where the public and the private sector can amalgamate, get together, and create a social venue for problem solving for the society itself. So is there a model that embraces the financial discipline of the market capitalism, but also provides an opportunity and support for the vulnerable, the dispossessed, and the downright unfortunate? To this fundamental question, Nick O'Dowd succinctly replies, yes, this is a possibility. We can think of shared value creation. We can think of social entrepreneurship. And he says that there is really an urgent need to unleash the whole new wave of social entrepreneurs, and which will help the existing models to create positive impact onto the society. Even these, in his book on social entrepreneurship in 2001, emphatically underscores the same point, where he says that the time is certainly right for entrepreneurial approaches to social problems. Next slide, please. So how do we see the embedding of the social purpose then? So if you look at the spectrum, if you look at the two sides of the aisles, you'll see that there was a traditional non-profit organizations, or what we conventionally call NGOs. And the other end of the aisle is the traditional corporations, which always think of the profit. And what we are seeing over the last 2 decades is the coming together of these concerns. We have not reached there as yet. The movement, the arrows which are indicating, is talking about how the traditional corporations have started moving towards corporate, talking about social responsibility, and now we have moved one step further where we talk about socially responsible business. And if we look at the NGO side of it, the traditional non-profit organizations have moved on to non-profit with income-generating activities, how to make themselves sustainable, not to be completely relying on the government sectors. And this has pushed further to a very new and nuanced concept of social enterprises. So you're talking about a social value creation and an economic value creation which can be buckled together. So this is a kind of an overlapping of the two circles. And if you look at the middle area where the two circles are getting overlapped, is a concept which was given by Porter and Calmer in 2011 in their concept, which is shared value creation. Both of them are Harvard School professors in USA, and particularly after the 2008 financial crisis, they have said that we need to reinvent capitalism. They said that the capitalism is under siege, and unless and until capitalism does something for the bottom of the pyramid, to the people at the lower rung of the society, the capitalism itself will become an unsustainable proposition. So the shared value creation is a kind of a coming together of the two circles where business value and the societal values sit together. Now, if we just bifurcate these two things, you will see what exactly is social value and what exactly is financial value. So I have segregated the overlapping section. So when you particularly define what is social value, you talk about it, that how can youth get employment? How can there be more inclusive and sustainable development? How can you bring the benefits of development to the last of the last man? You know, the concept of Amatya, the last man. So, and also about the community, thriving of the communities. And when we look at the other end of the spectrum, which is the financial value, you will talk about market capitalization, profitability, increase of the revenue, and so on and so forth. So what is happening basically, as I said, that in the last 2 to 3 decades, the focus has been placed on social enterprises. Even though there is a history of social enterprise and social entrepreneurship, the buzzword, the social entrepreneurship, really picked up in 1980s and 90s when the social entrepreneur picked up. That is, the concept of Ashoka was founded in 1981, the Squab Foundation in 1998, the Skoll Foundation in 1999, Unlimited in 2002, and the Young Foundation in 2006. So these were the prominent first traders who moved into the uncharted territory of trying to bring together the social entrepreneurship and the business entrepreneurship together. And another major event which brought the focus onto the social concerns was Muhammad Yunus, the Grameen Bank, which you're all very familiar with, the concept of microfinance to the weakest persons of the society, and particularly for the women. And when he won, Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Prize, then the world got focused onto the concept of social entrepreneurship. But social entrepreneur may seem very Western because I've been quoting Porter and when I've been talking about Ashoka and other institutions. But back home also, the concept of trusteeship is actually not very dissimilar. Gandhian concept of trusteeship, the businessman being for the benefit of the society, is very similar to the concept of social entrepreneurship. His concepts of satyagraha scientists who would go down to the villages to help the people, to bring about an ecosystem for development, was another concept which was taken up by the initial architect of the developmental model for India. And then many important businessmen, for example, Birla, Tata, and Bajaj, took over the concept of social entrepreneurship, and they started large social ventures like Seva and Legit. You are aware of these terms. In 1947 particularly, the inclusive developmental concept and culture really picked up with Vinoba Bhave's concept, Baba Amte and Jayaprakash Narayan, who influenced the citizens to connect the economic and the social issues together. Other innovative ideas in Indian terrain was Sarvodaya, that is the universal upliftment. And this was further taken over by the organization which was termed as Association for Sarva Seva Farm. Likewise, in 1997, the grassroots innovation augmentation network GYAN turned into be the India's first non-profit socially minded venture capital fund, which was set up later in 2001, and Avishkar is another example. Then there are many other examples of Acumen Fund, Elever Equity, ODR Network, etc. I'm just quickly running through some of the footprints of the social enterprises which already exist in India. Drishti in 2000 also brought in the concept of sustainable, scalable platform for entrepreneurship, and it particularly worked to connect the information, communication and technology for rural economy and society. Then another prominent example of social enterprises in India is the Arvind Eye Clinic, which was set up by Dr. Govindappa Venkataswamy in 1975, and which provides free eye treatment to thousands of people in India. Very importantly, another, Harsh Hande, who set up Salco, is talking about upliftment of the people and protection of the nature through the solar energy, which also talked about providing solar energy to the rural farmers in India, which are always indebted with high loans because of the electrical cost and so on. Project Shakti, which I think you know about, is the Hindustan Lever Project, which was again set up in 2001, and it tried to synchronize the upliftment of the women and women empowerment with with integrating business practices. So Project Shakti particularly targets small villages and taps into the pre-existing women self-help group. Gunj is another example which works for physically challenged people by providing them opportunities to produce handmade products like folders, bags, registers, etc. So analyzing, these are the broad, landscaping and broad, examples which I've taken up to substantiate a case that when we are talking about the concept of shared value and social enterprises, it's not that the evidences are missing. There are enough evidences globally and within the country itself where the concept is not only being accepted, but I would say the concept is already coming and it's on its way up, and it will be increasingly embraced both by the business community and also by the social community. So analyzing the social entrepreneurship in India, in a paper published in 2010, the title of the paper is India Really a Hotbed for Social Enterprises? The answer stands as yes. India is a hotbed of social enterprises because we have rich history of non-profit organizations, and also there is certain niche of Indian ethos and Indian culture which makes us particularly ordained towards the social enterprises. And finishing, just last point here. So what we also term is that as a jugaad economy in India, which talks about how we can mix confidence, perseverance, along with innovative ideas which can create a positive impact on society. So what are the future challenges? So as I said, that the key areas where social enterprises and social shared value creation is existing is agriculture, education, energy, financial services, healthcare, housing, sanitation, and water. But I would still say that social entrepreneurs still is in the nascent state, and a lot has to be done, particularly in terms of providing them support, mentorship, innovative ideas, how they need incubators to move and flourish further. So I see, to conclude, I see that there is this is an idea which is up and coming. Thank you. Yeah, any questions? Sorry. Sorry, if you have any questions, please.
Govinder, it was very interesting paper and well presented.
Thank you.
I have done some research on this area, and I was. It was really interesting to in a way summarize how these different concepts are evolving.
Yeah.
Yes, and what are the challenges in the future? Just one question: that what do you think who should do in order to, and who should do something in order to promote the further growth of this social enterprise?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think here, when we say that who should take the first step forward, in a sense that how do we make this conceptually, theoretically very beautiful concept of shared value creation and social enterprise actually be realized at the ground level? For that, my simple answer is, I think all the stakeholders need to move forward. So when I talk about the concept of responsible business, so the corporations, the society, the government, all need to be equally engaged and passionate about the concept of shared value creation, because it's not just a platonic concept. It's a concept which has to be embedded, because we are seeing the signs of ruthless capitalist model already cracking itself up. We're talking about immense inequality, not only in the third world countries like ours. We're talking about immense inequality in America. We're talking about immense inequality in the European Union. We're already seeing the exit of Britain from the European Union. So this is an idea which has to be lapped up. It is a new avatar of capitalism which needs to be adopted if capitalism itself has to be sustainable. Because when you're leaving 90% of the population lurching in the poverty, in illiteracy, you are making your model and the concept of marketization itself very unsustainable. Because, yeah, and it's, I just one last point, the C.K. Prahlad, bottom of the pyramid books actually talks about, bringing down the benefits of marketization to the lowest rung. Otherwise, you're just catering to the top 10% of the population. So all the stakeholders, we need to all walk a step further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Surinda. It was very enlightening lecture about social entrepreneurship and shared value creation. And you have taken the new concept of reinventing capitalism.
Yes.
That's very good. That's very novel idea, because you feel that the benefit should go to the lower rung of the society. And you have explained the role of NGOs also. And you are emphasizing the fact that nowadays NGOs are going into the activities of income generation. That's very good, and that's needed also. So they can never rely on the government aid only.
Yes.
It's very good. We are very satisfied with your lecture.
Thank
We
you.
wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
For the useful insights. Before proceeding, I would like to remind that you will be provided with 10 minutes, out of which 8 minutes are for presentation and remaining 2 minutes are for the question and answer session. The second presentation is by Dr. Monica Goyal and Dr. Narendra Singh from Department of Physics, Shamlal College, University of Delhi, presenting on the topic Sustainable Optical Encryption Technique for Information Security.
Myself is Dr. Narendra Singh, and my co-presenter is Dr. Monica Goyal, Department of Physics, Shamlal College. The topic of discussion which I am going to discuss is the sustainable optical encryption technique for information security. The last word is the information security. The information security is the method of protecting sensitive data of an organization. This information security need in any corporate communication. This information security adopting sustainable method against counterfeiting and unauthorized access of the information. There are few reasons why the information are lost in the business or related activities. One of them, and a very important cause, is negligent employee, that is carelessness. Another one is data breaches by the outsider, which is non-hackers. And another one is losses of the crucial business to an enterprise. Huge amount of the money and the time being spent in curtailing information fraud, and this loss are passes to the consumer. Now, by seeing the information losses, we need the globalized security practice. A globalized approach on safety and security practice is bring better control on our security risk. Second, consistency, business efficiency, improved safety, and this practice should be simple and it should be worked in the informed and focused manner. There are many methods for the information security in which the encryption technique is the best way for the information security. The encryption technique is applicable when the file is saved in the hard disk, when the file is attached to the email, when file is shared from the file menu. Any organization becomes confident if the data is in control. It doesn't matter how the data is communicated or where it is communicated. The information is secured by using encryption by the two methods. One is the electronic method and another is the optical method. In our technique, we are using optical method for securing two-dimensional image. So basically, this is the image encryption technique, and in which the image is encoded. Encryption, that is the encoding of the image safely over the system, so no unapproved client can decode the image. The image information have many properties, so the need of the encryption processor are very important. In our proposed technique, the image is covered by the random phase mask, which is generated by using the chaotic technique, and the Fourier transform is performed over the resultant image. Any encryption technique can be make more strength if the size of the key is large. In our technique, I am using double random phase encoding method, in which the random phase mask is the key. So here I am using two keys, two random phase masks. In our technique, I am combining optical transformation and chaotic map. In this sense, this becomes a new encryption technique, and it is better than the single encryption technique. Our optical method has the advantage over the previous method. Optical, that is the light. So in this sense, the advantage is it is very high speed. It is parallel processing, and it has large storage memory because the light has a large bandwidth. Another one is the chaos. When we think about the chaos, we should think about the random data. But this random data is generated by using a simple equation, and this equation known as chaotic map. This random data has very sensitive to the initial condition. This is the very important characteristic of the chaotic map. A small change in the initial condition can drastically change in the long-term behavior of the system. That means we cannot hide the data up to the 10 to the power minus 30. It is very sensitive. Here, so I am using to generate the random phase mask by using this chaotic map because it is sensitive. It is very sensitive. This is the encryption and decryption process that I am using in my proposed technique. I have already explained the encryption technique. The encryption means encode the information in such a fashion, even it is viewed or recorded, only the application of the correct key